Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
What's up? It's Casual Friday. I'm Jim. That's Ryan. There's some other guy named Brad who's sometimes with us, and he's not here. We don't know where he is. But today, we are going to get to the topic and the thumb and the title very soon because we know that's probably why you're here. But we also had some breaking news just about an hour ago that we got to cover real quick. There is a new Daggerheart book coming out next month. Or not next month, next year. It was just announced today. This is fresh from the Daggerheart website, and Todd Kenreck, ever the mouthpiece of Darrington Press, got a video out about it. Hello, Mr. Vincent. Twin Steel, they're double streams because there's a landscape and a vertical stream now. You can pick if you want to, however you want to watch it on your phone, I guess. So Daggerheart's first expansion, Hope and Fear for players and GMs. And in the video that Todd Kenreck put out today, they sort of explained it pretty much. It's like a Xanathar's guide for Daggerheart. It's got more of everything. Some new classes, the Witch, the Warlock, the Brawler, the Assassin. Only one new domain, I think the Dread domain. 130 new adversaries, and there are new campaign frames and new all the stuff, all the things that I didn't like about the Daggerheart book because that I said there weren't enough of, like items and adversaries. Well, they're putting a lot more of that. And I don't know, Ryan, what do you think?
I like a book that's got something for everybody. The Forgotten Realms that just came out for 5e 2024 being like, here's the player one, here's the DM one is an interesting take, but I like by this book you get subclasses and monsters and magic items. It's pretty cool. I liked Mercer in that Todd Kendrick clip of an interview. It felt like there's more meat on that bone. They're making a sharp distinction between a thief rogue class and an assassin, which get lumped into 5e, and they're similar sets. Like, I imagine they share one of their domains, but an assassin is a different thing than someone who's good at picking pockets, at least in my head canon. Also curious, the distinction between witch and warlock. I imagine they're both dabbling in this new spooky dread domain.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, just new monsters. The environments are in a very interesting concept to me. I'm working on a similar project with our buddy Twin Steel here. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's good to see them expanding something that is still brand spanking new. Like, they could kind of coast for a while, but the fact that they've already gotten to the point of production where it's not just, hey, there's a book coming out next year. It's like, here's what's in the book. They have it very like rigorously defined. It's not just like a concept. They play tested most of this material already on the Void. Um, the transformations are also one of the more interesting aspects for me, as someone who is for maybe the third time running a campaign dealing with lycanthropy and the, I don't know, disappointing vanilla version that we're handed. Um, I am interested in how they handle this mechanic of, oh, your character is now also this on top of what they already were. That's something that I'm always curious how a game handles, and it's a pretty good list. I like seeing reanimated on there, versus Ghost versus, I don't know how one becomes a demigod post conception, but let's find out.
Yeah, the transformation cards. I don't know if you saw them on the when they were on the demi or the Void. The playtest version of the transformation cards were really cool because they're sort of independent of level because most of them work with your proficiency, and they look like they would make very good sort of epic boons. Like level since there's no level 11 in Daggerheart, striving to become a demigod would be a cool post level 10 thing if you wanted to keep going in that campaign. And like the way that each one of them worked was that you got some kind of boon and a kind of bane. So like to become a vampire, you would get extra damage or something on your attacks, but you had to feed, and when you feed, you'd place a certain number of blood tokens on the card, and each day you didn't feed, you'd have to take a token off, and if you run out of tokens, then you're at disadvantage on your attacks and stuff like that. So they were all balanced for like none of them are just a free ride boon. They all came with some kind of drawback that made them applicable for kind of any kind of campaign at any level, and that's what I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I love mechanics like that are providing players with meaningful choices and like that's good storytelling. Just
Yeah.
the infinite race to better and better and better with no, I don't know, complications or consequences. It's fun for a little while, but that's playing on easy mode.
Oh, this is cool. It comes in a regular and a deluxe edition, and the deluxe edition comes with a bunch of extra D12s. That's nice. So not everybody has to buy their own special dice set. They can use some extra matched D12s. So you can pre-order that now, and it is coming out summer 2026. It comes with a book and new cards. The deluxe edition gives you dice, and this kind of interesting tear off blank adversary sheets. I'd like to see those. That's pretty cool. And a GM screen.
Build your own monster, scratch and sniffs. I'm here for it.
All right, now vamp for a second while I switch what we are.
Speaking of dread, we it's funny. Last week, this article came across. I think it might have come out on Friday. This article came across my feed. I think Reddit alerted me to it or whatever, and I was like ready to talk about it. But we had done a lot of work already on fixing up the dungeons and that new Forgotten Realms thing, and I was just like, you know what? Let's just let this one pass. And yeah, as Brad mentions, Brad's not here, man, and he's the voice of reason, so he maybe would have talked us out of covering this one. Because I don't know, we're not beyond playing some YouTube games some of the time, but like we don't go chasing the controversy. We'd be doing bigger numbers if we did. We try to be fair and balanced, but like, yeah, this was a very it was an Atlantic article, which means it's a very deep dive. It maybe goes too far into the anti-sentence. I feel like you could maybe gloss over the first 15-20% of this article and still get a lot out of it. But Jim was like, "You want to talk about this?" I was like, "You know what? Yes, I do. I've been biting my tongue for 8 days. Let's do it."
The name of the article is Why Elon Musk Needs Dungeons and Dragons to Be Racist: The Fantastical Roots of, quote, Scientific Racism by Adam Serwer. And so for a little historical recap, because some of these events are a year old and everyone's forgotten by now, but here's a little recap of events. So in the fall of 2024, WotC released a book called The Making of Original D&D 70 to 77. I didn't buy this book because I already bought Art and Arcana, and so I was not interested in another historical D&D book. But when it came out, it caused a little bit of a stir in certain communities because a person on X, who I'm not very familiar with, or I wasn't familiar with at all before this, named Grums, said D&D creators Gygax and others are erased and slandered at the same time. WotC and Hasbro just released the new players, blah, blah, as well as the Making of D&D book, whose foreword slams the original creators and attempts to distance themselves. And then, so Grums then shared a specific page from the book, and the box parts are his, but I'm going to read a little bit before that. This book also includes something never before published, the original draft of D&D that Gygax crafted on his home typewriter with his and Arneson's annotations and corrections. This book presents D&D as it was first imagined, warts and all. What sort of warts are we talking about? One example is including creatures from other IP, such as J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth, without permission. Some language in the first iteration of D&D presents a moral quandary. The documents reproduced in this book include many pages of charts and tables alongside lists of monsters, spells, and magic items. But that game content also includes a virtual catalog of insensitive and derogatory language, words that are casually hurtful to anyone with a physical or mental disability, or who happens to be old, fat, not conventionally attractive, indigenous, black, or a woman. Some people have charitably ascribed this language to authors working from bad assumptions. In the 1970s, historical wargamers in America were predominantly white, middle-class men. It isn't surprising that they would dub a class of soldiers the fighting man. But when in the pages of Greyhawk the description of the Queen of Chaotic Dragons included dig at women's lib, the misogyny is revealed as a conscious choice. It's an unfortunate fact that women seldom appear in original D&D, and when they do, they're usually portrayed disrespectfully. Slavery appears in original D&D not as a human tragedy that devastated generations over centuries, but as a simple commercial transaction. The cultural appropriation of original D&D ranges from the bewildering, like naming every 6th-level cleric a llama, to the staggering gods, demigods, and heroes, includes game stats for sacred figures revered by more than 1 billion people around the world, where players expected to fight Vishnu, one of the principal deities of Hinduism, kill him, and loot his +3 sword of demon slaying. And then, after that, what really got the whole ball rolling was that Elon Musk, I don't think it's shown here, but I believe he retweeted Grums's post or commented on it and said, nobody gets to trash Gary Gygax and the geniuses who created D&D. What the F is wrong with Hasbro and WotC? May they burn in hell. And not picture, but shortly after this, Elon inquired about purchasing Hasbro just to flex. That's... So, Ryan, thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, lots of them, but on this screen, the inclusion of the E is such a specific kind of nerd flex, where it's like, I know Gary Gygax's name is actually Gary Gygax, and I'm going to take the trouble to type that because I am providing my nerd credentials to you. And that feels like so many nerd flexes, as if it's coming from a place of insecurity, right? Like this is a man who was it Path of Exile? Do you remember when he played that video game on a stream to like prove how good he was? And he had this high level character that he had clearly paid for because he didn't know how to play the game.
He had claimed to have invested many, many hours in playing it, but he didn't have any idea. He couldn't really get beyond the map. He didn't know what to do.
Like the basic navigation of the game itself. It wasn't like, oh, he ate it on a boss fight. It was like he couldn't operate the controls. So like, here's a man with a history of trying to prove he's got nerd credentials, which is weird, which is a weird thing to do. Like, I don't really pretend, at least I haven't since I was like much younger, to like know more about shit I don't know about. And I don't know. This guy's in charge of how many? He's the CEO of like 6 companies. Why has he got time to like hobble into a nerd fight? And it's not nothing. Everyone's like, who cares what Elon Musk said? 2.2 million views. This man owns the platform and is the wealthiest person on the planet. If he's like, how much is Hasbro? Like, that's only half in jest. He might buy this thing and make it racist again because it pleases him.
I didn't include it in the slideshow, but if we remember later, we should bring up that Joyce Carol Oates tweet. Because that's about... Do you know about that?
Refresh my memory.
Joyce Carol Oates, the author, she put little Elon in his place with a very, very incisive, eloquent, and hurtful tweet that sent him spiraling for several days after she did it.
I was expecting nothing less of her literary genius to craft a well-reasoned tweet.
Yeah, we'll save that for after.
I'm excited.
Yeah, he did. We're gonna get to that pretty much.
Also, to be fair, Elon Musk did not read the book. I doubt he even read the full text in the square that the guy quoted in his tweet.
Yeah, so the point, let me go back to that real quick. The reason that they put the disclaimer here was not for wokeness. I mean, it sort of is, but The reason they put the disclaimer here was because, as I said at the beginning, they recreated the entire text of that original edition, and they put in here with its problematic words and all. And the reason they put this here is because we shouldn't delete the history. The history is being reprinted here, but it needs to have the proper context. And that's why, you remember the hubbub 10 years ago about all the Confederate statues? The difference between a statue being in a public place where its intent is ambiguous versus a statue being in a museum with a placard next to it where it has context. That's the difference. So they put the context here to say, these ideas were okay at the time. Modern audiences would not like them. But we don't want to erase history. We just want to give it the proper context that it needs. And really, all of that Grums and the people who got mad about it saw was mostly that comment about how in the 70s it was mostly white men playing. That's the part. Anytime you point that out, they get very triggered. The kind of people who would get triggered by this. When you point out, look, it was all white guys, they get mad. Not all, whatever. Hashtag not all, whatever.
In 1988, I had a black friend. Okay, bro, cool. But yeah, it was a different time. And the things that this book is prefacing in the preface before it completely prints out in its entirety, which is the opposite of erasure, as far as I'm aware. There's things in here that we, before this episode started, decided that we're not going to put on the screen or say out loud because we will get smacked by YouTube. There's some heinous shit going on in these pages, and they are printing them and just being like, hey, this is what was there, and we're showing it to you. So just a heads up, it's coming. And also, not really an endorsement here. We are providing the history of this game. We are not saying that this is what's right. And that was super upsetting to a lot of people.
So let's get into the article. I've got a few choice quotes here. Tolkien was hardly the only influence on D&D, but in the game, as in the books, certain characters' fundamental traits were determined by their race. A dwarf couldn't do magic, an orc was dumb and violent, an elf couldn't be ugly. Although some races, such as humans, were capable of a range of classes and alignments. In a fundamental way, characters were born into their proper place. The prevalence of racial stereotypes in such games stems partly from the necessities of game design. Games, especially those meant for teenage boys, are likely to revolve around action and adventure, which means violence. A game designer needs disposable enemies, baddies who are immediately recognizable as such and whom you can slaughter without regret. Another way to describe this imperative is that the creators are often bound by the hero's journey. The easy way to make sure there is a moral struggle between good and evil is just to say that individuals of a particular group are inherently evil. One of the most enduringly legible symbols that a character is different and therefore more disposable is race. Of course, the fact that this is also true in the real world is the reason it became such an effective shorthand. Here's a story. When I was in college, I was friends with this older guy named Joe who had spent about 10 years in prison. And Joe told me that in prison, everyone is racist. And I said, really? And he said, yes. And I said, why? And he said, because when you go to prison, they take away everything except for the color of your skin. That's all people have. And so that's what bonds them, which I've thought about that for many years. It's so horrific. I've always thought about Joe and him telling me that. I'll never forget that. For Riggs, Ben Riggs, D&D historian, acknowledging racist or sexist material in earlier iterations of D&D is not a way to insult or denigrate its founding fathers, but a tribute to the power of what they made despite their shortcomings. The fact that D&D is spread all over the world and into so many cultures, races, religions, etc. is proof of the power of the medium. Clinging to the racist, sexist, troubling things that they put in early editions of the game seems not only foolish, but disrespectful to the thing they created. And then here's what I've been saying over and over and over again, ever since I've been on YouTube. Besides, players who don't like the new rules don't have to follow them. There's nothing stopping anyone from playing a version that still has the original restrictions or the ones that feature more traditionally heroic characters or storylines. In fact, they're printed in this fucking book. The original rules are printed right here. They weren't canceled or taken away. They were reprinted in 2024. The beauty of this game is that you can play it however you want at the table with your friends. And then the Jerry Springer final thought. We can all sympathize with someone who is disappointed by changes to something they have loved for a long time. But sometimes, this particular sadness is infused with something more sinister, a nostalgia for a time when America was more segregated, and the hierarchies of race and gender that once defined American culture were more secure. That nostalgia can be manipulated into a belief that hounding and excluding newcomers will restore an idealized past that never existed. Folks, I've been reading The Elusive Shift, A History of Role-Playing Games, and back in the early 70s, back from the beginning of this game, there were two categories of players. There were gamers and there were story people. And the grognards want to tell you that the story people only came around in 2014 when 5th edition was invented, and they're lying. It's always been two kinds of people. It's always been multiple games, going back to the very, very first edition. It's always been a game that you could take and play at your table however you wanted. And so the point of this article is that this people like Elon Musk believe that these social hierarchies based on gender and race are correct. And therefore, when you besmirch E. Gary Gygax and say, actually, his views on women were wrong, you threaten the belief of the powerful that they are incorrect about the hierarchies that they believe that they are at the top of.
And it is so abundantly clear that they're telling on themselves because there isn't no self-respecting grognard, right? No one who's playing in 78, 83 was not coming up with their own homebrew rules, was not fundamentally changing the way the system worked. It was almost necessary in the very beginning to at least amend what was there to make it function perfectly. So like the idea that this was like a unalterable object, machine that couldn't be changed in any way is absurd. People are making homebrew stuff all of the time. People are making house rules all the time. What happens when the dice touches the floor in your home game? That's not in the book, okay? So, like, the idea that you're not clinging to the fact that it should only be Mountain Dew and pizza, but you are clinging to the fact that it should be no girls allowed says a lot about these idiots. Why is it that this is the part that they freak out about, right? Like, you can go run THAC0 at your table, and, like, it's a meme, it's a joke, people talk about it, but no one's threatening to buy Hasbro because they're doing ascending AC now. Like, why is it the sexist, racist part that you guys are so upset about?
And like this, Jay, you can do whatever you want at your table. That's kind of our whole point, that nothing has been taken away from anyone. You could do whatever you want at your table. No one has to even know unless you tell other people about it. That's the whole thing, is that these sort of people thrive on the idea of projected oppression. They thrive on this idea that our way of life is being threatened. They're trying to take it away from us, when in fact it's demonstrably not true. Because as we said, the book they were protesting included the rules that they are claiming are being like taken away and wokeified. Like the rules are right there. Nothing has been taken away. You could do whatever you want at your table. And so getting upset about a new edition of the game that reframes the rules, getting upset about it is a stupid waste of time because it has no effect on you. I feel like some of these people feel like they are, the Buddhists who make the paintings and then wash them all away so they can send their vibrations into the world. That's what these people think they are. They're like, we need to make sure that trans people are kept down so that the Earth's vibrations are correct. We need to make sure that the races know their places so the Earth's vibrations are right. That's just stupid.
It's it comes down to a scarcity mindset. Don't lump in the Buddhists with Elon. It's kind of the opposite vibe.
No,
But
he's,
that's a,
he's
that's a different podcast. The idea that more people coming to the hobby is somehow a threat to you, it's just so it's just I don't, it's hard for me to sympathize with. It's gotta suck. It's gotta really suck to be literally the richest man probably in the history of the planet, and to be so goddamn scared and feel so threatened, and like people who don't agree with every aspect of this are gonna ruin your fun. I mean, when's the last time Elon Musk played D&D? Is he running the game for it? Like what does that table look like? I have my doubts. But the idea that like, oh, it used to be you would get shoved in a locker for admitting that you played this game, and I got shoved into a locker, therefore other people should have to go through that in order to like earn the cred to play, or just not be allowed in the first place, or like it wasn't better then. It wasn't better then. And I don't know. Yeah, if you are operating on the assumption that this is a game that's just for boys and people who look like you, because people who don't look like you or girls ruin your fun, then like you're on some whole other trip, man, because that has not been my experience. And like you're fucking missing out. You're missing out. Like the majority of the people in the world are gonna ruin your fun, then like you're having a very specific kind of fun that is maybe worth reflecting on. Because I can call into question the idea that women don't enjoy TTRPGs, because I've seen them do that. Like I've been in campaigns that were majority women for a year plus, and it was a great time. And the idea that I don't know, it's just some incel shit at the end of the day. If women don't want to play with you, maybe it's you, bro.
mm. um, Tritzel, have you read The Elusive Shift? There's a lot of talk about the early home brewing of original D&D. So here is that tweet from Joyce Carol Oates. Now,
Oh yes,
get
please.
ready to bask in the glory. So curious that such a wealthy man never posts anything that indicates that he enjoys or is even aware of what virtually everyone appreciates. Scenes from nature, pet dog or cat, praise for a movie, music, a book, but I doubt that he reads. Pride in a friend's or relative's accomplishments, condolences for someone who's died, pleasure in sports, acclaim for a favorite team, references to history. In fact, he seems totally uneducated, uncultured. The poorest persons on Twitter may have access to more beauty and meaning in life than the most wealthy person in the world.
Dang. I
And
just spent 10
yeah,
minutes trying to say that.
he and Elon needed some ice for this burn. He went on a several day rant about what a mean, nasty woman Joyce Carol Oates is, and proving that he reads books by posting wrong interpretations of science fiction. Elon historically regularly does not get the lesson of science fiction. But that's just I appreciate a good burn.
It is so fascinating to me how wrong people can get it, or like in a perfectly like equitable fair way. It amazes me how differently some people can interpret pieces of media compared to what seems abundantly obvious to me. And that's true for everything. And that's also true for like the reality beyond fiction. But in fiction, where things are much clearer and constructed to be so, it's always weird the nerds who are like spouting the Empire's line and thinking that they're Jedi. Like, insert, translate that to whatever piece of media you like. But like, it's so strange to me to come from all of these different pieces of art that take the outsiders on the fringes and show them banding together despite their differences, and going against entrenched structure of oppression and being confused about the moral and the message. Like, you're not the resistance person who owns more wealth than anyone on the planet. You're the dragon. You're the dragon. You're the bad guy. uh Sorry that is hard to grok. In other words, you kind of understand. But like, I don't know. I don't know. This is a guy who's clearly miserable, which in some way is like proof that money does not buy happiness. But like, I don't know, if you have the capability of building a huge LLM that is going to agree with you and it turns into Mecha Hitler rapidly, it's time to maybe take a step back and reflect and shut up.
You know, what someone else has done at their table has never had an impact on what happens at my table.
Hmm.
I don't think anything that's happened at anyone else's table has ever impacted me at my table. How could it?
Yeah, I mean, the counter argument is maybe like these like Critical Role, like a really big actual play creates a set of expectations, but like
That's true.
even so, you can address that pretty immediately by having a session zero, which is another thing that they hate. But hey man, all right. PSA, let me try to be fair and balanced here. The move, if you are going to advocate and enforce these rules and the verbiage and the archetypes that we are not actually going to say because we like the pennies that YouTube gives us, then you should tell people right up front. Don't let people discover in play that you're running a game that, I don't know, is focused on the brothel. And yeah, I'm looking for synonyms now. Bad. I'm gonna get into trouble. I'm not saying don't do that. Like, if you're playing with your buddies and you're making the same jokes you've been making since you were 12 years old, cool, man. Enjoy it. Like, that's great. Like, yeah, make your fart jokes, make your dick jokes. If you're in the friendly local neighborhood game shop and you're sitting down with strangers, maybe people who weren't enjoying these same references in middle school with you, then like, yeah, maybe code switch or let them know that you're not, and that here comes sexism because it is the cornerstone of your homebrew world. Okay, cool, bro. That doesn't sound like a cool way to spend my 4 hours of my precious free time. So I'm going to go play with someone else. Have fun. Good luck.
Since this is a very special episode, I gotta show the other one, the way more disturbing. If you know, you know. All right, so do we want to talk about other stuff, or should we cap it here? Should we just drop the mic and back on out? Let our words speak for themselves.
Yeah, I'm content cutting this short. Like, I don't know that I have much more to say other than just expressing my disgust at the idiocy and the hypocrisy of it all. It's very hard to ignore idiots when they buy up the platforms because they're such snowflakes that they can't handle dissent. And there's a lot more of us, and I don't know if it is striving too hard to find a silver lining or it's actually a good thing. Like, it would be better if they didn't exist in the first place, obviously, but like, I think it might be good that these idiots declare themselves publicly for what they are and fly their flag so that you're not surprised and you can avoid them and go spend your time with people who are capable of empathy, because that's a lot more fun.
So that Atlantic article was called "Why Elon Musk Needs Dungeons and Dragons to Be Racist: The Fantastical Roots of Scientific Racism If you're a scientific racism person, if you are pro that, come on the show, debate us. We will tear you to pieces every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I could name names, but it's too late in the show. Nobody would get it now. I should have done that at the top of the episode. But you know who you are. If you're on this side, if you think that fantasy racism is great and that the races in real life should have hierarchies just like they do in fantasy games, you believe that some races should have a +2 to intelligence and some should have a -2 in real life, come on the show. You piece of shit, we'll debate you. How about that? You know who you are.
Yeah, because he's not alone, and he empowers that whole thing. But again, they're off in their little pocket. Like they're not. I don't know. Maybe they find this. Maybe they watch it because like it seems that they get entertainment from finding things that upset them that they disagree with and spend a lot of time talking about it. Like, yeah,
Maybe we'll
I
just
don't know.
tag a bunch of the asshole channels in the description so they get mention notification. If you, in a couple days, if you see a bunch of tags below this episode, no, that means we're going after people.
I don't want to.
It's the holidays. Maybe we shouldn't.
It's the holidays. Hey, everybody. Let's end this on a good note. Thanksgiving. I know some of you are not in America. Maybe most of you are not in America right now. Thanksgiving's kind of my favorite holiday because it's just about hanging out with people you like and eating way too much food. And those are two, probably my favorite things ever. There's some commercial creep from Christmas, but I'm one who holds the line for Thanksgiving. But yeah, I don't know. Be grateful. This game is awesome and incredibly versatile and diverse. And that means you can make it whatever you want it to be. So
Thanksgiving is, sorry.
Have fun. Yeah, go.
Thanksgiving is one of the harder holidays to commercialize. I think if they coulda, they woulda.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we're probably not going to be here next week because of American Thanksgiving. So you may see us, you may not. You'll probably see us on Tuesday for our special casual. I was thinking of the casual Friday on Tuesday. I was thinking Tusual Friday. How about that?
Tusual, untusual,
like Tuesday.
I don't know why, but it feels bad.
The joke is that it should just be Casual Tuesday, but I went really hard to make it Tusual Friday. Because it's not a Friday. That's the comedy.
I like it from like a intellectual thing, but there is definitely something happening in my body to the sounds of Tusual.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
It sounds
like a medical.
It sounds like something you have to get
needs to
removed at the doctor.
Yeah, medical intervention is required if you got some Tusual stuff going on.
We got the report on your Tusuals. It's not looking good. I'm afraid you're going to need to be admitted later today. And
poking at your Tusuals. It ain't good. Woo!
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. We love you. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.